stop scrolling right now, because what you are about to hear could save you from panic, from misinformation, and from making a very expensive mistake. And if you live in the UK or even plan to visit public places, this video matters to you more than you think, because right now thousands of people are being scared by headlines saying $1,000 fines start this Sunday, but almost nobody is telling you the full truth. And if you turn this video off too early, you might walk away with fear instead of facts. So stay with me until the end, because by the last minute of this video, you will clearly understand what is real, what is exaggerated, and exactly what you need to do to stay safe and stress-free. And before we go further, let me say this honestly. This channel is not for everyone. It is for people like you who want calm explanations instead of scary headlines, who want truth instead of rumors, and who want someone to break things down in simple English without talking down to you. And if that sounds like you, then this channel was made for you. So please subscribe now, because I regularly upload videos on topics like this: new rules, hidden changes, viral claims, and things that affect your daily life. And when new updates on this exact topic come out, I will explain them here in the same clear and honest way. So if you want to stay informed without panic and never miss an important update, subscribing now makes it easy, because this channel is here to protect you with knowledge, not fear. Many people across the UK are feeling confused, worried, or even scared after seeing headlines, videos, and social media posts saying that from this Sunday there will be 1,000 instant fines because of new PSPO rules. And the problem is that these messages often sound very serious, but do not explain what is really happening in a clear and honest way. So let's slow everything down and explain it properly in very easy English so everyone can understand what is true and what is not. Because when people hear the words instant fine and 1,000 together, they naturally imagine that they could suddenly be stopped in the street and forced to pay $1,000 on the spot for something small. But that is not how the system works, and it is not a brand new national law that suddenly started overnight, because PSPOs, which means Public Spaces Protection Orders, have actually existed for many years in the UK and were introduced under a law passed back in 2014 called the Anti-Social Behavior, Crime and Policing Act. And these PSPOs are not made by the national government for the whole country at once, but are created by local councils for specific areas like town centers, parks, beaches, shopping streets, or housing estates. And the purpose of a PSPO is to control behavior in public places when that behavior causes repeated problems for local people, such as loud street drinking, aggressive begging, littering, dog fouling, public urination, reckless cycling or scooter riding, or groups causing fear or distress to others. And it is very important to understand that every PSPO is local, meaning what is banned in one town might be allowed in another, which is why there is no single rule that suddenly applies everywhere in the UK at the same time. Now, when a council creates or renews a PSPO, they must first consult the public, publish the rules clearly, and place signs in the affected areas. And only then can the PSPO be enforced. And when someone breaks the rules of a PSPO, the most common first response is not a huge fine, but a fixed penalty notice, often around $100, sometimes less or sometimes slightly more depending on the council. And this is similar to a parking fine where you are given a notice and time to pay it, not something you must pay instantly on the street. And many councils also give warnings first, especially if the person did not realize a PSPO was in place. So the idea that everyone will suddenly be hit with $1,000 fines this Sunday is simply not true. The 1,000 number that people keep talking about is actually the maximum fine that a court can impose if a PSPO breach is taken to a magistrate's court and the person is found guilty. And this has always been the maximum penalty since the law was introduced in 2014, so there is nothing new about that number itself, and it does not mean that councils or police are suddenly handing out $1,000 fines on the spot, because only a court can issue a fine of that size. And a case usually only goes to court if someone refuses to pay a fixed penalty notice, repeatedly ignores the rules, or commits a serious or aggressive breach. So the $1,000 fine is not the starting point. It is the absolute top end for serious cases. What is actually happening right now, and this is where the confusion comes from, is that many councils renew their PSPOs every few years, and a large number of these renewals happen around similar times of the year, often at the start of a new year. And when a PSPO is renewed, councils sometimes expand it to include more behaviors or larger areas, or they announce that enforcement will be stricter. And when this happens, some media outlets and social media creators turn this into dramatic headlines like "New 1,000 fines start this Sunday," because it gets attention, clicks, and shares even though the underlying law has not changed and the enforcement process remains largely the same as before. Another important thing to understand is that PSPOs do not exist to punish normal, everyday behavior, and they are not designed to trap ordinary people who are just going about their lives, but they are meant to deal with repeated antisocial behavior that affects others, and in most cases, if you are behaving reasonably, cleaning up after your dog, not causing disturbance, not refusing lawful requests from officers, and respecting signs in public spaces, you are very unlikely to ever receive a fine, let alone face court action. And this is why so many people have lived under PSPOs for years without even realizing it, because they never break the rules. It is also very important to understand that a PSPO must be clearly displayed, which means there should be signs explaining what is not allowed in that area, and if there are no signs, enforcement becomes very difficult. And if someone is genuinely unaware of a rule, and it is their first offense, officers often use discretion, meaning they may explain the rule instead of issuing a fine straight away. So again, this idea of instant punishment without warning does not reflect how things usually work in real life. The fear around these stories often spreads fastest among older people, vulnerable people, or those who already feel anxious about rules changing without warning, and that is why clear information is so important, because panic headlines make it sound like the country has suddenly changed overnight, when in reality, we are mostly seeing routine renewals of existing local orders, combined with stricter messaging from councils who want people to take the rules seriously, not because they want to fine everyone, but because they want to reduce complaints from residents and improve public spaces. Another thing worth explaining is that PSPO enforcement is not automatic and not constant, meaning there are not officers waiting on every corner to issue fines, and many councils rely on reports or targeted patrols in known problem areas. So unless you are in a place where antisocial behavior has been a serious issue, you may never encounter enforcement at all. And even then, enforcement usually focuses on repeated offenders rather than people who make a one-time mistake. When you hear phrases like "starting this Sunday," it often means that a specific PSPO comes into effect on that date in a particular council area, not that a national rule suddenly activates everywhere. And this distinction is crucial because one town's rules do not automatically apply to another town, and what is banned in one park may be allowed in another park just a few miles away, which is why checking your local council website is always more reliable than believing viral videos or forwarded messages. It is also worth saying clearly that PSPOs cannot be used to criminalize homelessness or punish people simply for existing in public spaces, and councils are legally required to consider human rights and fairness when creating these orders, although there is ongoing debate and criticism about how PSPOs are sometimes used, which is a separate discussion. But even critics generally agree that the idea of sudden $1,000 instant fines for ordinary people is exaggerated and misleading. So when you put all of this together, the real picture is much calmer and more boring than the headlines suggest, which is often a good sign, because it means there is no sudden shock law, no overnight crackdown on everyday life, and no need for panic. And the safest approach for anyone is simply to be aware of local signs, behave respectfully in public spaces, and understand that if you ever are approached by an officer or council worker, staying calm and cooperative usually leads to the best outcome. In simple terms, nothing dramatic has changed in the law itself. The 1,000 figure is not new. It is not an instant fine. It is not automatic, and it is not aimed at normal people living their lives. And while councils may be enforcing PSPOs more actively in some areas, the system still relies on warnings, fixed penalties, and court action only as a last resort. So instead of fearing the headlines, it is better to understand the facts, because fear spreads fast, but facts move slowly. And once you see the full picture, it becomes clear that this is more about misunderstanding and exaggerated messaging than about a sudden harsh new rule affecting everyone. And before we go further, let me say this honestly. This channel is not for everyone. It is for people like you who want calm explanations instead of scary headlines, who want truth instead of rumors, and who want someone to break things down in simple English without talking down to you. And if that sounds like you, then this channel was made for you. So please subscribe now, because I regularly upload videos on topics like this: new rules, hidden changes, viral claims, and things that affect your daily life. And when new updates on this exact topic come out, I will explain them here in the same clear and honest way. So if you want to stay informed without panic and never miss an important update, subscribing now makes it easy, because this channel is here to protect you with knowledge, not fear.